Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Q1, I guess, session of our Ontario NetSuite users group. My name is Brandon Pennycat. I am one of our co-membership chairs of the board. But welcome today. Glad that we could see a lot of people here today, as well as online. For those of you who have joined online, welcome. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we kick things off. Help yourself if you're in person here to our refreshments outside, just out the door. There's some coffee, tea, and treats, donuts, stuff like that. Take a look and feel free to enjoy, as well as the fact if you have to use the restroom, it's just out the main door here and then by the elevators. Women's is first, and then on the other side of the elevators is the men's washroom. So feel free to use that if you need it. Wi-Fi access, this one's full, but you can use, I think it's Crown Guest, or sorry, Crown Public is open access, so you can use that if you need internet for your time here. Let's keep going. So here's the agenda for today. I myself am welcoming, obviously, and we've got a couple topics to go through today. So we've got, I stay in front of the camera. We've got customizing NetSuite. Mark's going to talk through how we can use different tools and customize your own NetSuite interface as an admin, as well as other options. We'll take a break and then have best practices as well. Mark will continue on going through new ideas and how to, keep things running smoothly with our suggested best practices for your setup. NetSuite ideas to vote on. Lisa's going to cover off some enhancements and how we can vote together and make a bigger impact. And then Gavin will go through an AMA, ask me anything, and open discussion kind of at that time, go through some questions, and then we'll wrap up. This is the list of our board members. Some of us are here, some of us are online. I'm not going to go through all of it, but feel free to ask questions if you have questions about ONSUG as an organization itself, or just about NetSuite in general. Feel free to reach out to any one of us. We can either help or direct you to the right people who would know how to help as well. And just some other quick announcements. We started a lunchbox series last month. And this is a concept of just kind of come together for a bit of a lunch and learn, and it'll be an open session. So come with your questions, have some conversation with board members, other group members on what problems you're coming across. And our next session is March 7th. That's what we're targeting right now, but we'll send out more information as we get closer to. But it's just casual, just come together and ask questions if you have them. We're looking to increase our LinkedIn activity as well. So we're trying to ramp that up, get connected, expand our network as well too. So if you're on LinkedIn, look us up. We're going to try and keep posting and updating with our meeting times and new announcements as well too. So feel free to check us out on LinkedIn if you're on there, as well as our onsug.org site. We've made some changes to it now. So before, you used to have to log in every time that you'd want to go and see the announcements, see our recordings, past sessions. Now you don't have to do that. You can just go on. It's a little more open for everyone. And this will help us gather more resources and open it up for more general public. And then last but not least, if you're not ready already, 24.1 of the NetSuite new release is coming soon. I myself am not ready, but I will be getting ready soon. So just keep an eye on that if you're an administrator or running your NetSuite instance. Just make sure you're aware of when your new release is coming, because it should be in the next few weeks to a couple months. So that's coming up really soon. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Mark to kick us off.
Thanks, Brandon.
No problem.
I've been playing a lot in my release preview, and I think I've submitted 3 cases to NetSuite on things that just weren't working right, and pretty basic stuff. Like I think the first one was I couldn't even open item records, and then it was specific items and stuff as well. And there was 2 others that we couldn't get going, but it has since been cleared up and looks pretty good now. And I don't think I'm going to do release preview stuff today for some of the demo, but if we have maybe time at the end, I can show you a couple of the new things. The AI that's now built into, say, the item record it's kind of cool. I think it's called text enhancement. Yeah, it's neat to play with. And I think our ONSUG instance is going to get updated this weekend. So that's something. I don't know why we're one of the first ones, but we are. And then I know Danby is, we're about a month away. So middle of March. And I've heard a few others are into April as well. So again, use your release preview. So I'm going to go through, I have kind of a sequence on this on it's going to start fairly basic, and I'm not going to go too basic because there's a lot of customization, a lot of features within NetSuite that you could go through all of the general preferences and, then accounting preferences and your order management and all that. I'm only going to touch on a few things that are pretty critical that maybe we started our NetSuite experience and we kind of did a few things and then never went back to the general preferences. So I'm just going to highlight a couple of these. And I'm going to try not to use the slides all that much. And I may actually end the slideshow and we'll go through it just to keep me on pace as well. Hold on. Okay. And I will try to do most of this right within NetSuite. So right now I'm in my Sandbox account, and we have actually named our Sandbox account. So you can see Sandbox 1 here. And actually I should have turned off something here. Hold on. I'm going to disable. I'm using Suite Advanced, which is an extension for NetSuite and plugin essentially. And it is pretty fantastic actually. And some of the things that you can do within that environment, but I'll turn that off so that we see the same thing that you guys would normally see as well. Okay. All right, so just a couple of things with Sandbox, and when you refresh Sandbox, one thing that I usually do is change my company name. So right now, my company name, if you see it up here, it's SB1, and I put it in brackets staging because I have actually two sandboxes. One is for development, and then one is for more of the staging of and the user UAT testing and stuff as well. But it's a good idea. It's one more thing to really point out. You're in Sandbox, you're not in production now, or you are in production. Don't do certain things. You can obviously do the colors, and I think that's pretty basic stuff is in user management, change your colors of your different environments that you have. And you can do this with the release preview as well. So let's jump over to our setup company, and the company information is where you would actually change the name of the environment. So you can see here, I just changed it. It's Danby Appliances Co. And then I just put the -SB1 staging. I'm not going to go through a lot of these settings here. We typically don't make changes on this, but we are going to jump over to setup company and our general preferences. And in general preferences, these are the setup for every user in the account and how it starts. But there is a method to, I want everybody to see this the same way as I do, and I'm making decisions. And you can specify, let's go down the list here, overriding preferences. What do you want to override? So like our CSV delimiter, it just makes sense that everybody is going to use the same delimiter and you don't have the choice to make multiple ones. Same calendar system, your first day of the week, the telephone format, right? Like it should be standard, and it should be standard right across your whole environment. So these are some of the basic things to kind of set up. I'm going to jump back up to the top. And when we started, our password policy was actually, I think it was set for medium. And I think that might be a default out of the box or what typical consultants will do. In today's environment, be safe out there, set your passwords to strong, right? And make it, I would go 12 characters. I think one of the standards was maybe 8 to maybe start off, but now we're in 12 or even 16 or even more, making it complex because this is your ERP. You do not want anybody gaining access to your accounts here. as well. And I don't have to go into a big cybersecurity thing as well. I run our IT for Danby as well. So I'm a NetSuite admin and I run IT. We're very vigilant on our cybersecurity practice as well. Everybody is a target out there. Yep.
B, um, um, set a password and then we don't have it file. Because that's actually what Microsoft recommends, because if you make a change, it moves to password 123, whatever, etc. And so our CEO, who's from tech background, that's what he wants to do. That's what our IT, our source IT company wants to develop. So basically, we set the password for everybody, and they use that password for everything. And then it doesn't expire. So it's just interesting.
Horrible, Gavin. Horrible practice. It's like setting your password as password. Yeah.
So,
That's right. That's right.
so I've looked at, I tried to convince them otherwise, and then, that if you actually go online, that's what Microsoft recommends. If you set,
Yes.
you set a strict, like a good password, then you don't have it expired.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Which is not a good setup. So set your passwords to expire. You know, we've set ours at 90 days. We think that's a pretty good cadence to expire. We're also using 2FA.
Yeah,
So
we use it.
are everybody using 2FA, and I've turned that on as well. You can also use the single sign-on with NetSuite. We've opted not to, so that we actually keep our system separate from our ERP system. So it's not the same. So if they gained access to my system, great, you can get so far, but you can't get into my ERP. So that's one thing that we've at least made a decision on. We may change that because it is, it's more 2 logins and 2 authentications and stuff. It's, but in today's environment, it's better to be safe there. And set your idle session time. Like when you walk away. Personally, I think 60 is too long. I would rather have that down to even 10 minutes or so. If you're idle and away from your system, it should be locking down your account. Okay. Obviously not going to go through all of these settings. There are a lot. But make sure that you have a realistic list and list segments and drop downs set. Now, this is a setting where that's going to be default for your users, and then the user can go into their set preferences and change that and adjust it. So why do we want like maybe a lower number? Like this is 100. I've seen some of our employees at 1,000, and then they complain, well, it's slow. It's not loading fast enough. And I take a look at this setting and they've got it, set at, 1,000. Well, it's loading all of that record information into, that list or segment. The smaller the segment, the less data, the faster NetSuite will be. So make sure that is fine-tuned, and same with your drop downs too. Make sure it's a realistic size of drop down. Yeah.
Adjust every time we put another stuff because it goes from
So then you're seeing it in one list rather than multiple. It is a fine tuning. That's right. Great, Lisa.
Hey, Mark, just for
Yep.
those folks who are on the phone, we can't hear the questions in the room very well. So if you wouldn't mind repeating the questions when they're asked, that would be really appreciated.
Great. Yep. No problem, Darrell. Yep. Yep.
Questions into chat.
It's okay. We can repeat it. So, yep. Okay. So moving forward, we'll capture those questions for the groups online as well. Okay. So let's go down this list. We talked a little bit about the overriding preferences. You've got languages, you have centers as well. And this was kind of a neat thing. If you have, say, employee centers or customer center or a vendor center, and you want not the default Oracle NetSuite landing page after they've logged out, put it to your own, then you can set that, whatever that center type is, even for your employees, right? Like you can set the classic and then put your URL for your landing page. So I would just put like Danby.com on here because then it just lands to our marketing, which is a good exit method. Okay. Kind of a neat thing, and I totally forgot that it was there until I was doing some of this training research. There's custom preferences as well. So I've got a lot of custom preferences here, and I don't want to go in too deep, but if you are using scripts and you're passing parameters within those scripts, you can put those parameters out here in the custom preferences. And why would I do that? Well, I have scripts that run our landed cost calculations. And sometimes those landed cost calculations, it's a sourcing fee I've got here, I've got a finance buffer, and I've got some brokerage amounts, depending on which subsidiary it comes down from. And those are automatic parameters that get pulled into the script. Well, if any of those change, what am I going to do? Go into the scripts or go into the script deployment, change the preferences there? No, I can expose those, and it's just a pull down on your parameter on the script, and you can set it here. So if finance wants to go in and change their finance buffer, they just change that number. And every time that script is running now, it's pulling in this number, not something else. So it's a good way to kind of push this forward to functional users rather than have an admin make those changes. So that's just one example. We've got quite a few different ones for all of our different scripts and stuff that are running. And also it seems to be best practice for, Innate Sync is an integration partner. RF Smart is our WMS as an example. And then I've got some other stuff that's being automated in the background too. Okay. Don't think I wanted to cover anything else within the general preferences. So let's kind of move on. So general preferences, that's a great setup. The next setup that I would look at is what do our roles look like? So each of our users should belong to a custom role. Yes, you could use NetSuite out of the box, but I would, and chances are you're going to make some changes to any of those roles. And please tell me you are not assigning admin roles to all of your users. I have heard those horror stories. They're not great, when you give admin privileges and they can do anything in the system. So you want to really, make those roles customized by what are they actually doing in NetSuite. And go to the extreme and don't give them access to things that they actually shouldn't see. As an example, our sales reps cannot see our purchase orders. They cannot see our inbound shipments because we're hiding costs. And actually, we've customized an item form so they can go and look at the item form, but then we have workflows and rules there to remove pricing visibility. So they're just focused on price. Never mind what our costs are. I don't know if there's sales reps in the room, but you give them, a little flexibility on what our cost is, and they can come up with their own margins for selling the products, right? So, and it's not necessarily what we want to do. So make sure that your roles are set up properly, and you can go into setup and user roles and manage the roles. Just going to leave that page without changing. And this is obviously our Danby environment here, and you can see we've put Danby in front of it and then what the role is. And when we get down to some roles, let me just go to the next one. And you can see how many sales roles that we have. So whether you are a business analyst or a director or manager, sales manager as well, sales rep, and then even sales rep for national accounts versus, say, independent accounts as well. So very different rules there as to what they gain access to. And it's a little tougher to manage, I'll be honest, okay? But it is definitely well worth it to secure and make sure that your environment is secure that way as well. And when you customize these roles, you'll see the center type. So everything starts with the center type. So if you're copying a sales role, you're in the sales center, as opposed to, say, this is, well, that's a bad example. There's the accounting session, or there is manufacturing in the shipping center. We've created our own. So we have a manufacturing division where we created our own center for manufacturing. And then guess what? Once they log in, we've customized that so much that their bar across the top, all these tabs, is very different. It's actually just one, and it says manufacturing. And they get 3 choices of which forms to load, because you don't want to give them this view. If you're working on the line, you're manufacturing, you're building a product, you're doing the assembly work, you want to really stay focused. Don't play around in NetSuite and do all these other things. Just focus on what we've given you, and this is the job and the role. Okay, so we can set up different sensors that way. Okay. I'm not going to go into the details of setting up the roles and how to do that. That would be a whole session on its own, and going through some of that. But again, these are things that we need to customize our environment and make sure that we're handling. Okay. All right. So managing those roles would be the next step. What's the next one? Now we're logging in. Now we have a user. Now we're logging into whatever role we've set up to and whatever center. And again, that defines their view, and everybody lands on a home page. So on their home page, dashboard, whatever you want to call it, what they're viewing first and foremost almost every day is important. So out of the box, you may have a few different portlets or lists or save searches that are on here. You could have reminders. You may not have reminders. Customize it to that role. So if I'm in a sales rep role, I'm looking at, here are my customers, here are the orders, here are the metrics for my month to date. Am I hitting my metrics? Am I not hitting my metrics? What are my outstanding activities? Who have I not contacted in the last, say, define it, right? 21 days, 3 weeks. I haven't reached out to X customers. Those are my to-dos. That sets up my day. That is my dashboard. And we can create dashboards as an admin, and even you can push it to a functional user to go and create a dashboard, and you do it yourself. You do whatever your setup is in your role. So maybe let's do something real quick here. We're not going to really change anything here, but we can do our personalize. I think there's somebody that is off mute online. If you don't mind just checking and muting, please. Okay. So I'm not going to go and change too much on this, because this is going to be more of how do we publish and how do we do that. So I'm going to do the sorting on this dashboard, and let's say this is going to be a new sales rep role, or sorry, sales rep dashboard that I want to publish. If we scroll down, okay, one important thing, I'm in as the admin. The admin can publish different boards, right? In any role. But when I'm going to go and publish this, I'm publishing an admin dashboard, not necessarily a dashboard for that particular user. So what I do in best practice is I'll switch my role. Are you on the Zoom? Anybody on the Zoom call and can mute? Yeah. Oh, I can do it here as well. Okay, thanks. Perfect. Okay, sorry about that.
I muted you from yourself.
You muted me, Gavin. It's showing me I'm not muted, so
Okay.
I think Darrell, if you can't hear me, let me know.
Hearing you fine.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so it's a little bit confusing. So how I would do it is go into the actual role of the user that I want to publish to. So let's pick Danby Sales Rep. Just going to reformat this, reload it. Okay, so this is the sales dashboard. I'm pretty happy with this. This is a great start for them. If I scroll down, I have publish dashboard. Okay, so if I click on publish dashboard, I can name this. This is going to be like I'll just call it ONSUG training. Okay. You have a few choices here. So you can lock shortcuts and you can lock the new bar. So locking shortcuts are a little star here. So if you're locking it, the users will get these ones that are already on here and they cannot remove them. They can add their own, they can move them around, but they cannot remove these ones. So if you've got a standard corporate, everybody gets this shortcut, put it in there before you publish your dashboard. The second one here is lock the new bar. The new bar is this one here. So if you've set this up, it's kind of like the quick launch thing. Set this up to how you want it, then lock it down so that no user can remove any of these that you've chosen. They can, again, add their own, but lock it down, okay? And I think they can still move them around on the list. But again, at least you're setting the stage for success. This is how our user is seeing NetSuite, okay? All right, and down here we pick like what role do we want to publish this to. So here we can pick that Danby sales rep role, and I can do multiple on this as well by just adding. So if it's all the sales roles at once, then I can go ahead and do that. Override existing user settings, yes or no? That's your choice, right? So if you override, whatever they've done is going to be overridden, and this is the new dashboard, which is not good if I'm 4 years into NetSuite. I think people have customized their dashboards. If I go and I just push that out on those users, they could be upset. Maybe they won't. Maybe they haven't really customized their dashboard. So think about whether you want to override or not override, okay? If you don't override, it still pushes the dashboard out to them, but their changes will stay, okay? All right. There's another one here, apply to tabs, and this is picking. Did you know that you have more than one dashboard? So the home is one dashboard. Here is a list of all the others that are actually in NetSuite. How do you get to those? You typically will go up to your menu, say opportunities, relationships. If I clicked here, it may take you to a dashboard. Maybe that's a bad example on that one. So customers, relationship, if I click to this is a dashboard. Let me open that in another tab, kind of show you. Well, it's not on this one. Is it the overview? So this is actually the dashboard, right? So I think the default, you go to the actual customer and then you can pick to go to the dashboard. But this is a whole other dashboard if you're viewing customers. And you've got the same for any of these on this list, like your activities and your leads, your opportunities. There was the customer one, and any of these. So you can, where's the home? This was the home. And then you've got another choice, unlocked, locked, or add or move content. So unlocked means I'm going to publish it and they can do whatever they want. They can remove the things that you've created and pushed out, or you can lock it and they can't change anything. And then the third is add, remove the content. So you get the dashboard. You can't remove any of the components that you put, but you can move them around and you can add your own. So we always think that that's the best option, actually, instead of the locked and unlocked. Okay. So this is it. This is how you do it. So to publish it. Okay. So Paul's question is, how do you actually publish it? Because you don't have access to it. You don't have the actual option there to get there. Okay. So So let me finish this and I'll go back and I'll show you. That's a good question. So I made that change there, and then all I do is save, and then that pushes the dashboard out. That's the finish portion of the publishing. Now, Paul's question is, well, Mark, you're in a sales rep role here. How do you have access to go and publish it? And if we think about it, if I set the permission in the role for sales rep to be able to publish dashboards, any sales rep can publish a dashboard. That's not what I want. I don't want the sales reps publishing dashboards for everybody else because it's going to cause mayhem in our environment. So how did I get around that? So let me go back to my admin role. And because I, in my role, publish dashboards for other groups. So you see all those roles that I had set up there and have access to. So let me go to my employee record. May take a second to load because we've got some other tabs and customizations on our employee record, and it's sandbox. It's not the fastest environment, but it's a good environment to play in. Okay, that should have loaded. And let me slide across to access, and under access, and you don't do this in a lot of circumstances, but this is a great example of using global preferences, or sorry, permissions, global permissions. So on this one, I've added publish dashboards full. So if I have other members of my team or functional users that will publish a dashboard on behalf of others, you can go to the global permissions and add the publish dashboards. So whatever role, because this is on my user account here, whatever role I am in, it gives me that access. That gives me that permission. Okay, that's why it's a global permission. It overrides whatever the roles are specific. Okay. All right. Does that answer your question, Paul? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Good. I don't get global.
It's no. Talk to whoever can it can get you the global permissions.
So
but it is.
Mark,
Yep.
Mark, yeah, hi. So I noticed you have bills on here in view, right? So we have several roles that we want them to see the bills, but we don't want them to see anything else. So if I put that in there, they could actually view vendor bills?
Correct. View only. Yes. Yep.
That okay, you just saved hours and hours and hours. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And we had to do that because we have an approval process that's kind of outside of NetSuite, and you actually need to be able to see the bill as you're going to approve it. So,
yeah.
But the approval wasn't giving them access to say edit or full or create bills. It's just to view it.
Yeah, that's exactly, because we have a workflow for approvals, but they can't actually see what it is, and then they can't see if it's already been approved because it's gone. Does this work with the employee center access as well?
No. Okay, I'm hearing in the room no. Gavin says should. I think we try it out, right? So
I will try it because we actually have a lot of people not in the system because they don't need to see anything other than approving bills. Yeah. So we were having a challenge on how to get here. So this is useful. So thank you. And thank you, Gavin. I'll give it a go. I'll let you know.
And sometimes those different centers are kind of portals, and they're built a little differently, right? It's not necessarily how it would be across. And maybe that's why you're thinking no as well. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that employee centers, yeah, it's pretty basic, right? Same with the vendor center too, right? Like we're having to build a vendor portal outside. And if we get time today, Gavin and I will maybe show you a little tool that we downloaded and added Suite app that from a presentation, we had a guest speaker, I don't know, a couple of years ago, and he's still doing new things. And this one was awesome. Anyway, maybe a teaser. Hopefully we get to it. If we don't get to it, we'll do it at a lunchbox for sure. Okay, So that's how you kind of, oh, sorry. Let me get back to my, where did my presentation go? Okay. So that's how we are publishing the dashboards. And we're recording this session, and I also have some notes here in my slides on where to do things and how that progression went. So this will all have, you all have access to this after as well. Okay. What's our next step? So I wanted to show in our environment, so we've got the published dashboards, that's great. Let's go back to menus and see our tabs across the top here. So, and you may have noticed, hey, I got a couple of Danby ones. You can do it in the Employee Center, just viewing a bill. Okay, excellent. There's your answer, Barb.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
was worth the price of admission today, guys. So thank you.
Great. Okay, so now customizing these tabs. So you might see here, what we found was saved searches are everywhere in the system. You can have so many of them. Sometimes it's faster actually to create a new saved search than go and find one of the saved searches that you had. When we launched NetSuite, what we found was people were putting different criteria and looking at things in different ways. And then you have two different, say, net sales reports. And it's like, well, why does my number not add up to your number? So we said, okay, hold on. This is great. Everybody can do saved searches, but how's about we create a few best practice ones? And what we call them is gold. They're the gold standard reports. And we put a lot of those into a menu. So on this menu, we've just created it by department and put the saved searches that we've created under that, so that any user within that department, it's just easy to go and find. So as an example, like here's the sales or the sales management one, and these would be like our gold reports. We know that this is the real number that you should be looking at. It's great. Users love to be creative and do their own thing, but this is what we should really be looking at. Okay, so how did we do this? How did we create these tabs? How do we sort out those saved searches? I've got some other neat things here under tools, just creating new saved searches, a list of my saved searches. It's a saved search for saved searches. And then we even put a link here to the item 360 too, because we found it's such a great tool and it's so buried in the system to actually go and find item 360, put it on a menu, just put it there. If I had known some of this before when we were publishing the dashboards, I would have probably put some of these as shortcuts as well. But shortcuts, you can't group them by department. This was a much better way of doing it. Okay, so how did we do this? So it does get a little bit confusing, but we'll walk through some of these logical steps. We hope, okay? All right, so all of this starts with customization. And you've got the centers and tabs. And the first one is creating a center. Like, remember how I talked about the manufacturing? If I want to create a center where I give them just like, say, one option, this is your menu, this is your role, this is all you get. Then I would create a center and then put that role into that center. Okay. But NetSuite has a lot of these out of the box, and there are centers that are used by many roles. So it's probably a better way of doing it that way. So then we've got these center tabs, we've got center categories, we've got center links. All of these are the main three ones that we really care about. Okay, so let's take a look at center tabs first. And actually, let's just go and create a new one. So, and I have an action item on my list. We have a QMS system, a quality management system, where every department has SOPs and work instructions for pretty much every role within their department. So, and it's outside of the system, it's in SharePoint. And I think, well, that's kind of silly because you've got it outside of where they're actually doing their work. It's right in NetSuite. So why not put good links to SOPs and work instructions right there on a menu? So that's kind of what we're going to do today. Okay, so I'm going to name this QMS. So this is a new center tab. So this is the label that I want to show up on here. Okay, and I have to pick a center. I have to pick a center. All right, now what do you do? Well, thankfully, we've got the all. Because we don't know, we want sales reps, we want product managers, we want finance, we want everybody seeing this. So we don't care, we want it all centers. But if you did want it just in one center, you can pick it, okay? And then it would just show up for that one. Okay, so let's go and save that. Applied to all centers, blah, 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 published, want to continue, yep. It only gives that warning if it's all, because I'm choosing to give it to everyone. Are you sure you want to do that? Okay, so I've created that, that center. So now I've got QMS. I have these categories, portlets, stuff like that, but you don't have to do that here. Okay. Let's go back to customization. We're going to go centers and tabs. And now we're going to pick our categories. So think of that is us on this menu. So actually here you can see QMS has already showed up and there's nothing below it. So that's what we need to now add, the stuff below it. And that it starts with the center categories. Okay, so I'm just going to say new on this one. And let's say, let's just do, this is going to be sales support. Okay, I have to pick a center again. Oh, and now I don't have all. All right, well, that's no good. NetSuite has a default, it's called Classic, which is kind of an all-encompassing one. Like if you're an admin, you're in the Classic. And if you've done training for other departments or you log in as like a salesperson, your menu is completely different. It says customers and opportunities and things like that. In the admin role, it doesn't have that. It has transactions and lists. And so there's a little trick here. So let's do it as the custom center, or sorry, classic center. And our center tab is the one that we just created called QMS. Okay. And I have, you know, other things that we can do there. And then down below at the line level, we've got this thing called link. So here is by default, we can start finding, say, some save searches. Okay, and I'm just going to pick one save search just off the top here. And we're just going to label that as, you know, agents or something. Has nothing to do with QMS. Ignore that. But this is, you're building your list, and the save searches are one of those options, okay, to build up that list. Okay, so I'll say fine. Let's go back to this list and see if there's some actual pull down. Okay, so, you know, sometimes in NetSuite, it gives you some options. Like imagine if it said save searches, links, scripts, menu items, things like that. Think in that mindset for this list here. So some of the functional screens like item 360 may be on this list, okay? These are not all reports or dashboards, okay? Or reports or save searches, sorry. Okay, all right, so I've added one. Let's just go ahead and save that as is and see how we're doing. We're starting to build up our little menu. Now I can go to QMS, I have sales support, and I have agents. Exactly how I named it. So that's that save search, right? Very simple, very straightforward. I'm there, okay? All right. Now, QMS, I said, is outside of NetSuite. It's in SharePoint. All right, wonderful. Okay. Let me add another tab and let's go off to SharePoint. And let's find our QMS. And here's our big document library. Here's our sales support department. And this is probably good enough, but we divide up our sales support into different groups by subsidiary and all of that. Okay, so this is where I want to go to. All right, so this is my link. I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to go back into NetSuite, back into our customization, center tabs. So remember I said there's this third one. It's called center links. Let's go and take a look at center links. Links, and you can see here, we've got a whole bunch that has a label and then it has a URL. Okay, great. This is just a list. I'll go down to the bottom. I'm going to say QMS sales support. And then I'm going to copy that link in here. I'm going to add that. I'm going to save it. It's going to give me lots of warnings with URLs and stuff it doesn't really like. I don't know if I don't have the little button there. Okay, so I don't need that anyway any longer. So I have the link saved. So now I go back center tab, center categories. Let's go and find our QMS on this list. This should be down here. There's QMS. I'm going to edit this one. Note that this is the sales support one. I'm going to edit it. And it has this one, the agents. Now it has, what was the center link that I called it? QMS SS. Notice it found it automatically. And we're just going to say, yeah, we'll do the same. Okay. Let's save that. Now we go back, QMS, sales support agents, QMS SS. If I clicked this, it takes me right out to SharePoint. So I'm on the SharePoint site. So I think now I can build up this as a library or a pointer to where all of those documents are. You can do this with, like, this is a good example, I think, with training documents, things that are outside the system as well as inside. It brings your departments together as to this is what we're trying to do. This is what we're trying to accomplish. You're keeping your employees focused on your setup and the environment within NetSuite. Okay. Did you guys know how to do that before? No? It's a little bit new? Yes?
No.
Okay.
Save what
Thanks,
I
Barb.
can. Yes, thanks.
You are getting that admission price. That's really
I am
good. You're
getting
getting
that
the good
admission.
value today.
We have so much crap on SharePoint we have to go out and search for. And
That's
I
right.
did not know this. I love it. Yay.
And these could be other links and stuff. Like you can see here, I've got Copilot because we're going to talk about that in a little bit. You can do any links, right? And build up on these menus. And then what I'm finding is the more that you can put within NetSuite, that's your work environment, then it's more of a focus. It's a more of, they're doing things in NetSuite. And it's easier too, right? Great efficiency. Gavin, you had? I wasn't gonna touch on that. There's one, I can still not figure out one thing within NetSuite. When we do these center tabs and these up here is pick this order. Is how do I rearrange this order?
On the sequence.
You can only do it in a custom role. Right. 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 So it's a little bit buried and it's, yeah, you're using all of the custom roles. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you can do it, but it's very convoluted, if you will, right? Yes. You really wouldn't want to do that in every single role. So some of the comments in the room, it's you can do it. It's through a custom role and a custom center. So like how I talked about that manufacturing center, like you can go and build that one, build it out, but you're building it up from scratch almost. Which is good if you only have, like I had 3 options on my manufacturing form. That's great. But if I had 50 options on menus and stuff, you have to build all of that up. That can take some time. And you can't necessarily just copy these either and switch them to other centers and other areas. So it can be done. I kind of just live with it the way it decides on how to put it there.
I'm eventually going to start creating companies.
Okay, good. Good. Glad you're gonna do that, Gavin. Gavin says he's gonna start doing his custom roles, which is great.
Just to add the ends. Automatically should do.
So when these are all ones that I've added.
The standard tab as well. So.
Yeah.
The standard, what one of them controls the menu, so, and you can, with the custom goal, then you can put it as far away as you.
Yeah. So when Danby's experience, so we first created, the Danby reports, and then we did save searches. And now today we've done QMS. You can see that order that it's kind of doing. So I don't know if it has some sort of a marker there that it knows how.
Your plugin got itself there.
Yes.
Okay, on top.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
So
It was not.
I could have two.
I think that's a really good question. Yep. Now, like scripts and bundles, like you can see ARF Smart is the second one there. That's an installed bundle or suite app. They may have more control over what gets added, because it seems that these are all custom ones. It's not NetSuite. The NetSuite ones tend to get added like down here, right, on your list, right? So I don't know. There's some sort of magic in the background. That's no. Yes. Yes. Yeah, you're probably right. Now, any of these on this list here in our QMS, if I had more, I can arrange those. Okay, that you can do in customization, your center categories. And where's the QMS? Oh, did I miss it? Why am I not seeing it? Oh, there's okay. And in here you can move these around, right? So I can shift those around. Okay, and create that logical order. Okay, you kind of have to do that a little bit on your own, because otherwise you're doing things not alphabetical. It's definitely not alphabetical when we put the tools up at the top as well. Okay. All right. Let's see what else was on my. All right, we're at the break, but we do have a few minutes. So I've got about 10 minutes here on my. I'm going to jump ahead and do a few things. Let's talk about safe searches and some of the best practices now. Okay. So with the safe searches, we talked about that gold and gold standard. I actually put that in some of the titles of some of the safe searches, like say a gold net sales report. So then it's identified, oh, this is the gold one. And I lead employees to, if you're making a custom one and you want to, put some other criteria there, make a copy of this. Right? I obviously don't let them edit these ones here, but they can make a copy and then add their own stuff to it, right? So when they make a copy, I advise them put your initials on it or change the name so that it has purpose and it means something. Our other good use of safe searches can be used everywhere in the system. Yes, you have a flag for safe searches that you can find the ones that are scheduled, because that's an important one. That could go to customers, it could go to vendors. Nobody should tinker with it, just extra caution. But I put scheduled right into the search, so it's even easier for me to find those. If you have safe searches that are used by integrations or scripts, then say it. So I have two integrations here, like SuperSync and Sync Apps. Those are two separate ones. I know that, hey, my sync apps, that goes out to constant contact. So I know exactly what the use is moving forward. And also don't touch it. Don't make changes to it because it could really mess up in integration. My SuperSync there is kind of a neat add-on as well. So it can take a safe search and dump it out as a CSV file on SharePoint or in Azure data storage as well. So then I push those out on a schedule, and then I pull them into Power BI and do my reporting in Power BI. And I do it in Power BI because then I can reach tons of different data sources and pull the data into one view for the department. Okay, like call center reporting and stuff like that. So that's another pretty cool tool. And then the bottom one says AppF. That's our one of our partners, consulting partner, Appficiency. They're actually in the Toronto area here as well. We've had them do one of our sessions and training as well. I have them put AppF in front because I can't remember who the actual consultant employee is, but I know who AppF is. So this is like, hey, invoices to be emailed, and then put in those brackets or stars that it's a script. Like, again, I sometimes say script, do not touch. Because that's a scary one, right? You go in and break that, especially when you're sending invoices out. I created a save search of save searches. You guys know how to do that? I think we covered that in an older session and stuff. So it will be somewhere, but it's
It's a default my save such.
yeah. So I pull that out and I customize it and put different filters. So that's how I find quickly, say, scheduled stuff and any other criteria that I want. I also wrote another save search to find unused save searches. And you can do last run by and set it for like, okay, it hasn't run in a year. Get my list. And I ran it again the other day and I was like shocked. There's like thousands of save searches that have never been used. And it's too bad you can't make them inactive.
As public unless.
So take those ones, don't make them public, like remove that, right? Yes. That's right. It is. And that tool is fantastic. So we're a subscriber as well. Because you can't make save searches inactive, right? So, but I don't think that there's a performance loss there with the number of save searches that you still have just in the system. If they're all running or they're all scheduled or they're doing something, yes, that could have an impact. But just having them in the system is probably okay. And Gavin's suggestion there, at least take the public off, right? You could create another account and move it to an account that doesn't have access in NetSuite, like an employee record, and say, archived or whatever, deleted. I don't know how StrongPoint's doing it. They just delete them. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So the other advice was for those on the phone. It's take those safe searches and make it shareable to the administrators so that you don't lose sight of things. And we'll talk a little bit about employee offboarding as well, kind of having a little bit of a checklist for that offboarding. So what you don't want, like when an employee leaves, they've done some good work for you. And chances are they've done some of their safe searches to make their job easier. Sometimes that doesn't get transitioned well to the next employee responsibility. So I would love to have seen in the save search at least just a comment area, an internal note that you can make. And I was thinking the other day, like you could create a custom record and tie your save searches and then create your own record, but then you've got a different lookup, and it's again comes back to naming your save searches as well as possible, right? For the purpose. Okay. Yeah, that is a good one to vote on. Lisa's session coming up. Okay, maybe we'll take a 10-minute break there. My last thing there was Copilot, and we'll talk about that. But I did do a prompt here, like NetSuite, create a save search to find save searches not running last year, and I gave very good instructions, very simple, as to how to create that save search. So again, my little plugin for AI, use it, don't forget about it. And we'll do a little bit on Copilot in the second half of today. Okay, so let's take a break for 10 minutes. I got 10 o'clock on the dot, and we'll be back and ready at 10 after. Okay, part 2. Okay, thank you. All right, so I think everybody's back here. We're all set. All right. Okay. Great, everyone. Thank you. And just by the way, we have 33 people online as well today, so attendance is great. Thank you very much for joining. We really appreciate it. Okay, where are we? Best practices, and I think I covered some of the naming stuff with save searches. Actually, before we get going on that, just to circle back on the center categories. So, everything in NetSuite is really just a URL, right? So if you find a screen or a form that is, it's popular, it's well used, you can just go to that, like so item 360. So go to item 360 in NetSuite and just copy that URL and then add it as that link. Okay, so then you can add those two. That's one way of around if you can't find it on the list of, like, say, save searches, and there are others there, but that's the best way of doing it. Okay, so just wanted to cover that, and thanks, Paul. That was good discussion on that. Okay, all right, so let's go back to best practices, new ideas. Okay, so let's talk employee onboarding, offboarding. At Danby, we found when the pandemic hit, and we actually, took off, our products took off, thankfully. Everybody needed a freezer because we were going to the grocery store less and less and needed to really stock up. And we expanded a lot on our employees. And when we were all remote, what we found was communication was kind of slipping. So it's different when you're in the office. Oh, there's a new employee. You kind of hear about, who's in different departments and all of that. HR was just overloaded and inconsistent on some of that messaging of new employees. So we wrote something in NetSuite for new users. We assumed pretty much everybody is getting a NetSuite account. When that account is set up in NetSuite, that's the trigger to let the rest of the company know here and welcome that new person. This is their role. This is their department. So we implemented that. Our first step was do it through SharePoint, do a form, which comes to my team or our IT team to go and create that account. So at least we know about them. We create them in NetSuite. And on the employee record, we added a couple of custom fields that more define where the employee is working, like a better location. The location on the employee record is an actual warehouse location type thing, right? We wanted more of a Danby location. Which warehouse are you working at? Which office? Are you remote? Are you a global contractor? All of that. So we did all of that. And then we wrote a save search to just go and collect those new employees that were created within the last week. And then on a Monday morning, send that email out. And that was working pretty good. But in the save search, then we found, okay, we didn't have flexibility. So as to which day or time, there were a couple of other things, like, yes, in the save search, you can schedule some of that. But it was being sent out by a certain person as well. And there's something else that I can't remember what it was, but the workflow just wasn't cutting it for us and how that was being sent out. So we wrote a script that was generic enough to help us, and I'll just open this up. We wrote a script that would help us define the automation of those emails out. And what we found was we could use this and reuse it for many different instances. And all it does is takes a save search, takes the save search results. We put it through different parameters, like here, who is it going to? Well, it's going to go to all Danby employees. And I just reused one of my other integration save searches. Create a subject, create the email content. What is the list to be emailed, which is, again, the save search, which is a new Danby employees. Set a condition if there's no results, and then set the from, and set that on a schedule. So we did this script, very, very straightforward. I think it's only about 50 lines of code, maybe a bit more than that. That would pick this up, and then we can just deploy it for whatever we want, whatever other processes. So we had some other ones like EDI alerts go to a certain team or certain people as well. But we found that doing it this way outside of the workflow was a much better cadence and followed it much closer. So as part of the group, I don't mind sharing with you guys if it is helpful, what that script looks like. This is it here as well. It's very straightforward. Set the parameters. So I'm going to ask one of my developers to just go and bundle this, and then we'll make it available for any ONSUG member as well. So if you want to bundle it and put it into your environment, we can go ahead and do that. So we did this for our onboarding, helped with the communication, helped send those messages out, but it can be used for any save search that you have and keep it outside of, say, workflows and everything else. Okay. If that's helpful for you guys. You can see here we've got a few different deployments of the same thing. Okay, that's all going out. So we've got date changes, we've got inbound shipment receipts, and different alerts and stuff that happen on a regular basis too. Okay. All right, back to the slides. So that again, that script it's a great flow for that. We didn't necessarily do it for offboarding, but we can do it for offboarding as well. Offboarding employees leave the company. It's not necessarily something that you want to broadcast employees leaving and stuff, but certain departments, certain managers would know, and that's where we're heading that way. And on an offboarding process, actually, I'll talk about that in a little bit after we get through the next couple of slides.
We integrate into Bamboo HR.
Yeah.
And so if somebody becomes really automatically deactivates their employee, Bamboo, we had a bunch of licenses that were being used for people who left.
Yep.
So,
Good. So Gavin's comment there, what is it? Bamboo?
Yeah.
Bamboo HR. Yeah, to get those notifications, to remove them from NetSuite as well, and save on licenses for sure. And that can be, remember we talked about the single sign-on. Danby's not using single sign-on, enforcing that connection between your Microsoft account and your NetSuite account. But that is another good way if you're shutting them off on Microsoft, they're out of NetSuite as well. But they probably still have a license. You still have that. Yeah. Yeah.
Then you add a license and then someone goes, oh.
Check those employees. Yeah. We have a couple other save searches that look for any activity. So do they have any transactions? Have they done anything within NetSuite? And also, when's the last time that they've logged in, which is a good checklist. Because sometimes, the warehouse teams, separate area, remote as well. And they're just, temp employee comes in, we create the account, but we never hear, oh, the temp left. And they're paid differently as well, different type of payroll system because it's not a salary and it's not done through the typical payroll. So some of those accounts we always catch with this other save search that, hey, we suspect this person has left. Can you please confirm as well? So other good practices there too. All right. So, NetSuite is essentially, well, it gives you access to like a database with a nice front end that you can do a lot of things with it. So think of your database, custom records. We can create our own databases or mini databases within the NetSuite environment, make it all secure and everything on their platform, which is fantastic. One thing that we did was manage our assets, so IT assets. So which laptops are out in the fields, which ones are ready to be deployed, how many on a shelf in our server room that we're ready. So if 5 people start on Monday, we're ready for that. Which ones have we gotten back from staff that were offboarded, and what condition is it in? Does it need to be formatted? Is it ready to deploy or getting it ready to deploy? So we created non-financial record of assets that we track and manage, especially with COVID as well, when we went all remote, like who took what? It was a mad scramble to go and go remote. So what assets do they actually have? We know the laptop, but how many monitors did they take their docking station? We don't really care about mice and keyboards and stuff. We don't track that, but the more expensive items, we have to track that. So we created a custom record called IT assets. We gave it the unique system ID and name. What type is it? Is it a laptop, monitor, PC, desktop? Who has it assigned? And then what's the status of that asset as well? Is it ready to be deployed? Is it deployed? Is it unconfigured? Is it decommissioned? It's just old and we just need to scrap it. Then we created this record, we tied it to the employee record. So in NetSuite, if I go back into NetSuite here, let me go back to my employee record. So we found it very good to have it all in one spot. So I've got an IT assets as a sub list here, which lists off what equipment that I have. So we know that I have like this laptop and what the ID is and asset, the service tag and all of that and can track it. We also did the same thing for software licenses. What software licenses do I have? Because think about the offboarding experience. It's we've got licenses for everything, right? Like you've got your Adobe or Dropbox and Google and here I've got Power BI and stuff too. So it's when you're those can be wasted licenses, wasted dollars. So when we're offboarding, we need to look at what's on the employee record, what did they have access to, and then start to remove it. And then we set an active inactive flag on this because sometimes when you offboard an employee, you might be going through the hiring process and it might be 3 weeks, 2 months that you've actually hired the replacement for that person that's left, right? We all know the hiring market's pretty tough. And it can be a longer process, right? So instead of losing the information when that next person comes in, we at least know, oh, they replaced this person. Oh, these are the licenses that they should probably get to start their job. And then we make it a really good experience for that new employee onboarding that they've got all the tools necessary on day one and all set up. Okay. We do the same with, because we deal with thousands of customers that have unique portals out there as well. We have portal information too. So who has access to this? Who's the admin of it? Like Canadian Tire's portal, they've got their own. Walmart has their own. Costco has their own. So how do we? And I am the admin of most of those, and we don't share passwords, we don't share logins. So someone on my staff needs to know and assign a ticket to me, being the admin for that portal, to give access to somebody. But we found that this is a tighter control because, again, employees offboarded, they had access to the Walmart portal with an account. It is separate, its own security. They'll know what their password was. They have the email address or whatever that they could just put in. There may or may not be two-factor authentication. So that could be a hole in the security of that person was offboarded. They shouldn't have access to go in and check Walmart's view of our orders that are shipping to them, pricing, inventory, all of that. So a good way to securely offboard employees is what we were looking for. And we did this again through a couple of custom records, putting the data in, setting those records, and then tying it in. So when we look at an employee, all the information is there. It's all tied together. So pretty slick. So I thought I'd share that. Again, it's a good process for onboarding, offboarding, and maintaining, a number of users as well. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Actually, fixed asset, right?
It is not.
As a
It's non-financial. That's right. We're just trying to maintain our inventory, right? Non-inventory item. Yeah, that's right. Outside of the system. So when I purchase new laptops, I do not create a PO in NetSuite that's tied to that asset. It's completely different. So I just make the purchases and then I put it in as an asset. That's right. Yep. Yep. Correct. So obviously there's different ways of doing it, right? But we chose to do this in the non-financial method. Yep. Okay, so we can talk again when an employee leaves. Remove that access immediately. Always strive to make them inactive as well. And then what do you do with all the saved searches? If there was a developer, I've had a few developers leave over the last few years. I still have active accounts for them because I am scared to inactivate their account because there's like 50 scripts there that are running on an automated, area. I just need to make the time to go to Sandbox and start turning stuff off and treat it like a new release. What happens, right? So, but we are doing more due diligence around that to understand it. So we could, in NetSuite's best practices, is change the ownership on, say, scripts and workflows to an active employee. You can't do that with a CSV upload. You have to physically go into each script and change those ownerships over. But there's other ways of doing it. Is also making sure, the one thing that's really important is the unhandled errors, because when an employee leaves, who gets emailed that a script didn't work or something timed out, or something just didn't happen the way that we expected it. Make sure that on your scripts, unhandled errors, maybe you don't have this checked, is just notify the script owner. Well, that could still be the employee that's left. So maybe all admins, or create a group. So you've got a few people, or if you have a Zendesk ticket system or something, or cases, you can notify that as a group too and spin off an automatic case, right? That somebody needs to go and take a look at it. So some of those best practices, again, signing that ownership, making sure that your scripts are set to run as an admin, or not. Yeah, it's run as an administrator is probably a best practice, because you don't know who's going to trigger that script to run. That's pretty much a best practice for all developers, but maybe in your system, it's not. So make sure that is at least set, that runs as well. Okay. Write the save search to find save searches for that offboarded employee. What are the ones that they created? Are you transitioning it to the new employee? Change and update the ownership on those, so that person is now responsible for those save searches. And again, we talked about, they've done good work. Now they've left the company. Don't let that good work and that, money that you've spent essentially as a business owner go to waste. Transition it, keep moving it forward, continuous improvement. Don't go backwards. Okay. Anyone else have comments around that? I know, Lisa, I think you brought up on one of our lunch things to set it as like an access token. And I did look at that, and if you can, but you can't set the owner as an access token. You can only do it through integration, I think, right? And separate. Yeah.
A lot of integrated items like that costs money. Use a token, that should be good enough. So we've been pushing token in a big way. Yeah.
Tokens are extremely useful to manage, right? Those integrations and manage the permissions and set a specific role for what that integration needs and nothing more, right? I think we have a habit of acting quickly and just give it all access to that integration. But think, like, that integration is talking to who? That's another third party. That's another company. You hear about, and again, I'll talk cybersecurity. Everyone will be breached at some point. You will get, crooks inside your system. They will get crooks inside their system. So limiting access to what's important and what's needed is the best practice to do that. Yes,
Can't use groups.
it is. Yes. Yeah. So Lisa's advice is use groups where possible, right? To set up. So then you're emailing a group of people, not in a specific individual. Set them up by department, set them up by function, or process, right? To help. It's a much easier way of updating. And then when you're onboarding those new employees, make sure you put them in the right groups, right? You have that best practice. Good. All right, I did cover this, I think, when I did the Suite World recap, but I just want to bring it up again. Let's go into our NetSuite environment again, and I'll jump over to activities, and I'll start a new task. And you'll notice the highlight here in yellow. This is a link to task management training. So you're on the task, you don't know how to use it. We've put customizations on our tasks as well. There's some new and different things. We've got followers on this as well, so that people are in the loop on a task and as it follows through. So it could be like, say, pricing or something, right? We need this customer with this price, and I need my manager to know, and maybe the product manager to know. It's one way of including others within tasks and activities in NetSuite, which is not out of the box. It's always a one-to-one type thing, right? Either you're the creator or you have assigned it to somebody. So there's no following mechanism. And also when you one thing that we had to do on tasks as well, just a side thought, was these user notes. So when the user note is created, it's essentially updating the task. Like you're encouraging staff to enter user notes to know about this. So, hey, I did this pricing research, so-and-so should get this price, whatever, and have a bit of a conversation there. But when you do that, NetSuite does not know that the activity's been there or it's updated. Because you want to say to the followers, you want to send an automatic email to the followers saying, hey, the task is updated, it's moving along. Here's the information. There's no trigger in NetSuite on user notes. Every other field that you see on here, it does, it triggers that something, but user notes, it doesn't. So if you fall into that, I've got a script for you to catch that one. It's a tricky one. Okay, so back to this. So I can create a field. It's an inline HTML field that will highlight. You can set the font. You can set like big color, and you can set this link. So let's just click the here, and that takes us outside the system back into our SharePoint. We've got a Danby University, and we're adding courses and stuff, visuals. So here's my course content, and here's my task management, and I can go ahead and start to go and watch the little 4-minute video on that screen and how to properly do things in NetSuite. So it's kind of like a mini SOP or a work instruction that it just goes and brings it up, and it's easy a few clicks away to actually go and play the video. Okay, so it's, again, we've got external content, could be internal content, could be a NetSuite file cabinet, but what we're finding is, back to task. So putting this here, it's again, you're building your user experience. The training is right here. It's different than the help that you get with NetSuite because that's out of the box, and if you've customized it, you can't customize that help. You got to create some sort of a work instruction on your own. So how did we do this? Let's go to customizations, list records fields, and this is a CRM field because tasks are part of CRM in NetSuite. And let's see if I can remember which one this is. Link to training. Okay, so, and this is, again, CRM fields. It's an inline HTML field. I've got it applying to the task. I've got the display here, and I think if you go to the very bottom, and I don't know why NetSuite doesn't default to, this is the actual setting that it's at right now, outside the columns at the top. So when you saw that form, it was above everything, right? It's the first thing that you see on there. That's how you do it. So even though it's set as this, when I reopen this custom thing, if I don't go and set that again and save a change, it's going to put it wherever it wants to, and probably at the bottom in not tabbed, not looking correct. If you don't like the formatting and stuff of the screen, that kind of bugs me when things aren't lined up properly. Okay, and then on the validation and defaulting, this is just quick HTML code. Part of this is telling, okay, the background color is yellow. What is the actual message? It's this, and then what's the actual link? And that's there as well. So you can get fancy. It's all HTML code. There's lots of editors out there. Get fancy with it, change up your environment, use your corporate colors maybe, but most importantly, use this stuff to point users to a better experience. Okay, and then that's it. Like, apply it to your form, and you're done with that setup. So pretty straightforward on getting that there. Okay. All right. Any questions on that one? Oh, good. Okay. All right. Now I've got a few things here that I just wanted to quickly talk about. It's come up, certainly when I present, I always talk about Copilot and what Microsoft's doing in AI, and there's OpenAI as well. Copilot is Microsoft's AI engine, and it does use OpenAI in the background because essentially Microsoft has a very big investment in OpenAI, but they're separate companies and that. And some of the comments were, well, and the fear, is my data protected? Like, whatever I tell it, is it learning? Is it knowing? If I put in there, prices on Danby, right? Appliances and stuff, is it going to learn that and then tell somebody else about, maybe our company secrets and stuff? Well, they have protected modes. So, and I took an excerpt out from the Copilot verbiage here, that as long as you have a license that's, the E3, E5, right down to business standard or business premium, which is pretty much everyone now, should be at least at that business standard, business premium, then your data will be protected in that environment. And I'll show you in a sec as well. So, and then they have another, this means the user and organization data is protected, prompts and responses are not saved. Microsoft has no eyes on the access. The chat data, isn't used to train the language model. Okay. Again, there's always fear. Do you trust them? Do you not trust them? That's personal preference as well. But you have to believe that these are protected environments because that is very, very important.
We just got a license of this for marketing. And this is an annual license. It's not monthly. So it's not.
Yeah. Okay, so
Years for that?
that is the Copilot business license, or they've changed the name a couple of times.
Yeah.
And that is for Office 365, which is super cool because it can look through your emails, look through your applications, look through your PowerPoints. We were trying it the other day, and you're right, it's an annual subscription. I think it's $400 and something. Yeah. And it can learn from your use, right, of the Microsoft tools. So as an example, hey, you have an email trail that goes, 10 emails, 20 emails deep. You can tell it, please summarize this trail. And it gives 4 lines as to, this is what they said, this is what they said, and then the final email said this. And it gave it 4 lines, and it's just fantastic. The amount of time that you saved by just bringing to the surface that stuff. So this is different. That license is different. That's a paid for license. What I'm talking about here is free. Okay, essentially free, as long as you have a Microsoft Business Standard or Premium or above. Okay, license. So let's take a quick peek at maybe what that looks like. And I think I had it already open. So if I'm just at copilot.microsoft.com, you can also go, sorry, I've got something there. There's this little button here, which it opens up Copilot in here too. And you can see I'm logged in. I'm logged into my browser. This is my Edge browser. I could do this in Chrome as well, as long as I log in. But you can see I'm in a protected mode here, and it tells you immediately. Let me see if I can just sign in. So as long as it's a work and school account, then it goes to a protected mode as well. Okay. All right. And it tells me exactly, what it is. I'm in a protected mode. So now I can go into this environment, say whatever I want, know that it's not learning anything. The most typical things that I do is not sharing like company information. You may have functional users that may want to use it like that. Me as a NetSuite admin, I sometimes go here first to tell me how to do this in NetSuite. Like, where do I find this? How do I write this save search? Or this save search this formula is giving me an error. Help me solve it. And that has really increased my productivity. I don't have to search and go, oh, here's a YouTube video. Okay, let's go through the YouTube video and try and learn this. We're all busy people. We just want the answer. Just tell me. This is one fantastic tool that has really helped. Maybe in some of the Lunchbox series and stuff, I'll share some more of the prompts and stuff, because it's all based on your prompts. So how do you tell it to speak? So I could say, speak as or act as a NetSuite admin, but explain the solution to a functional user, to an executive, to a 12-year-old. Is sometimes a good thing too, right? Like, yeah, I don't want it to tell me or speak to me like a 12-year-old, but it explains things a little bit clearer and takes some of the doubt over the solution as well. So maybe in a Lunchbox series, I'll go through some of that, because we have a lot of the act as prompts pre-done that we just copy and paste in, and then that sets your environment, and then just ask the questions, ask away. It seems to get really, really good results. Okay?
I'd like that.
Awesome one. Yes.
Mid,
Yes.
be a mid
Give
formula.
you the equivalent, right? As a NetSuite. Here's my Excel formula. How do I do this in a? Okay. It's really good with some of the formula stuff. And then I had some formulas in NetSuite that were like 20 lines of like case statements. And then oh, I just missed a space or one word or a bracket somewhere in this mess. And I don't have time to go and format it and find all the things. I just throw it into the chat and, tell me what my syntax should have been. I'm getting this error, right? So, and usually it's within 2 prompts, 3 prompts, I've got my answer and I move on. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure there's other editors and stuff that are focused on that. To give you that formatting and then colored the brackets and it's easier to see, but I just find Copilot's quick, super quick in doing that. Okay, there's a couple of things that I've been learning with, I have ACS with NetSuite, and one of the things that I use it for is health check. So we go through, give me a health check. They go through a lot of the APM logs. If you don't have APM or know what APM is, look it up, install it. It's a sweet app. It's your performance monitor, and it tells you how and what things are not running well within NetSuite. But the health check that ACS gives you, it's a whole spreadsheet of all these different things that you should look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. And they're warning signs of performance. And some of them, and I had no idea on this, I have a lot of workflows running, and I did these through implementation, and I left the logging on because, well, I want to see when things are running, and I may have to go back and see, my system information on all of those records and stuff. They said those logs accumulate, they never expire. So if you've been running this for 4 years on NetSuite and it runs, I don't know, 1,000 times a day, maybe on some of these transactions, think of how big that log is. It has a system impact. So it's actually slowing down the workflow performance. And if it's running again in the background with users, it can impact. So they said only do it while testing. Like get your testing out, maybe like as you're troubleshooting and you've launched this, but put it on your calendar or a task in NetSuite, remove the logging again. And once you remove the logging or uncheck it on the workflow, it clears out that logging as well. And I was really surprised how many workflows I had with the logging still on. Because again, you're busy, you're doing troubleshooting, you do the stuff, you move it production, you leave it, and everything is great. I don't have to hear about it again. Well, it's doing that logging. You can, that's going to the more, I think, and then active instances, and then you can put a little number in there, whatever, like keep for blah, blah, blah. Yes. Yep. Great point. Great. This is for scripting as well as workflows. Only use after submit actions as a last resort. And the way that they explain this to me is you're after, so you go and you do your save, and your before submit does all of the calculations or whatever, and it saves the information to the record, right? If you do it after submit, then it goes, does all your stuff you've submitted, saved it, and then after submit action reopens that record again, does more things, whatever you had to do, and then frees up that transaction or record or whatever you're doing. So that second load, think of your load time. You're opening up a sales order. How many seconds does it take to load up a sales order? For me, it's pretty slow. Like those 15 seconds, 22 seconds, whatever it is, adds up, and that after submit, think it's doing that 22 seconds, reloading again, and then making your change, and then submitting again. Some things are unavoidable. I think the like send an email or send an alert thing it has to be after submit. But when you can, avoid it, because that is a black hole for performance, is what I'm told. Another miscellaneous thought is finding gaps. So we talked about employees leaving. So when an employee leaves and they've still been assigned to customers, like shame on us for not updating our system, right? To switch to the next sales rep. Same with product managers. If you've got product managers or marketing managers on specific items or categories, then build a safe search that pulls out bad data. I've got inactive employees assigned to an active product. Shame on us, go clean it up. So I've got some of those. We also email our invoices out to some customers that aren't EDI or direct connections, but are those email addresses the right ones? Are they gone? Or have they bounced? Is there nothing there? If there's nothing there, well, how is that person getting our invoice? We're certainly not mailing them anymore. But you want a customer presented with an invoice because you got to get paid. So we set up save searches again every night. Anything that went out, sorry, an invoice was created and it didn't go EDI and it wasn't emailed, I need to know about it. And we alert, our AR staff and our sales reps, go clean this up. So that those couple of things have been really good with finding, just gaps in the process, just advice, right, for setting up our systems to run smoothly. Okay, how are we doing on time? I think we're pretty good. Maybe I have about 10 minutes. Okay, were there any questions about that's really my end of my presentation. We've got Lisa up next. Any questions? No, we're good on the phone. We're good. Okay. Maybe. Okay, I can for your presentation. Okay, I'll make sure that. Okay. Okay. So we had a presenter, Gavin, I think it was it last year or 2 years ago. Gavin invited him to do something on workflows for us, and fantastic workflows.
Actually, he's still like the NetSuite admin at a customer. And so when I worked at NetSuite, I ran the ops track suite role, so I had him twice send workflow session in the suite role. But now he's also got this other company, Haven Planet. And they have a bunch of free apps on their bundles actually on the website.
So I thought I'd maybe highlight some of this free suite apps. We had a call with them, and we'll get Alan to, I think, present at either a Lunchbox series or one of these events next quarter. This one here, the Save Search Viewer, was pretty ingenious. So again, a suite app goes into your system. You've written a Save Search. In my example, we do 3PL services. So we have certain parts of our Danby warehouses that house other products. And really, it's just a pay per lease, right? It's like a sublease. Here's your product. Some of them we ship and all that, manage their inventory. But we don't want to give them access to NetSuite. We don't want to assign an employee to send them their inventory, send them the activity, all of that. This add-on allows us to create an external URL that's accessible without a NetSuite license, and all you need is the URL. So you might say, "Oh, Mark, that's not very secure," and you've been talking security and stuff. You can put it inside, say, a Google site or a website login. Call it building your own vendor portal on WordPress or something. Whatever you want behind, at least the login access, and then give that URL there. But I had this installed, and my first Save Search and an external URL within minutes. It was pretty fantastic. I can't remember what my example was on that one. I think it's in production too. I may, if you bear with me a second, I can find it. So that was one of them. And where he's heading with some of this is to expand it. So he wanted to expose a custom record on a URL and allow or not allow updates on that custom record as well. So if you've got like kind of a flow and you've got an external partner that you want them to create, think of us as our ONSUG, our user group. We don't know a whole lot about you guys. We would love to know what company you're at. What are you on One World, not on One World? What is your vertical? We ask some of these with the Teams invite, but we have an instance of NetSuite where I would love to have some of that knowledge. So when a certain question comes up, or to even know our membership, like, hey, we're 80% manufacturing. Well, we should be talking manufacturing every meeting. What are some of those verticals, right? And what does our membership need? So we could create a custom record in our NetSuite instance, expose it to you guys without giving you that license to our on-site license, because we only have like 6 or something like that, 8 licenses. And then you can update your own record. So kind of like a little mini survey, but at least it's stored in NetSuite. At least it's good information that we can use and share with you guys how we set certain things up as well. So that's an example of what he's working on. If we go down on this, there's duplicate customer detection, PO detection. This, he was really highlighting it. It's an advanced PDF. If you do the advanced PDF stuff in NetSuite, you typically go outside of NetSuite. You build up all your code and stuff and then copy it back in. So Alan was showing us, you go in that editor and then you can give an internal ID on a record and then see like, oh, this is what my invoice looks like with my changes. Great. And then start making those changes and see actual data from your instance in the editor, which is pretty fantastic if you are doing that. Gavin, you like that? That's pretty cool. Yeah, good. Good. And he's got other ones, the mass deletes, custom. Status, user,
Class the status one.
I don't know that one off the top of my head.
So unless you add like a sub status to it, so, you can say, pending fulfillment, you can say, or grade ship, or
Ah,
computing, or something like that. So you have a sub status within the status and publish it.
that's fantastic, because when you have a sales order, it's either pending approval or pending fulfillment. Yeah.
All of, ships, so this gives you in this video.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that would be useful. 'Cause we have different stages as well, right? We bring it to a staging area, and we don't want. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's cool. Love to look at that one. User license management, that's what he's got right now. But he is working on a few other things. He shared with us one other thing. I can't remember what it is, Gavin, but that was also very cool. I think it was embedding NetSuite into, say, a Wix website or a WordPress website and building things right in it. So it's essentially NetSuite access right on it, as a drag and drop, which was pretty fantastic. Paul, you're sweet commerce and struggling a bit. This may be something better, right? I know us personally, we've struggled with customer portals, vendor portals on our website. We're doing it all outside of NetSuite now, but we're updating databases. It would be great to just kind of embed it right directly from NetSuite. One source, less things to break, all of that would be much better. Okay, so we'll send around that, or we'll put it in the chat. Maven Cloud Tech. Okay. All right, Lisa, you're up.
Yep.
And you would like me to find your email. That might be scary here, going through some of my emails here.
There it is.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
And this is meant to be a very informal discussion. This is meant to be collaboration, where either on the chat or write down a piece of note to say, what do you want voted on? What annoys you? I'm trying not to swear. Because if we don't vote for each other.
Lisa, come up here. Come up here, because
Over there.
it's got online people, although they can probably hear you.
I know, 'cause that's the way I roll. Shit, which glasses do I have on? Just a minute. So again, it's all meant to be for collaboration. We've got to work together because we'll never make a difference unless we get lots of votes. And the challenge we have is NetSuite always has a workaround, and they think the workaround's good enough, but the workaround's 3 steps long and it's inefficient. So again, people stop voting, and the only way we can do a difference if we work together. So some of my pet peeves is I'm really struggling with the bank cash reconciliations and the fact that the date cleared is not available in saved searches. I can't do a saved search that tells me what are all my outstanding checks across the, wait for it, 400 bank accounts one client manages. And they're really struggling with that, but I can get the information in SQL, but I need people to vote on the concept that date cleared should be available. You can't print 10 bank recs at once. I want to print all my bank recs and produce to PDF. I don't want to have to look at every single one of them. So the date cleared is one of the places that I'd love you to go and vote. I'm only saying what I want, but what I want to hear from others is what you want, because I'm going to happily sell my soul and vote for things that you want, because I think it's important. Oh, well, I don't have access to that, but you go to, oh God, this is, yeah, Matt. Yeah. Wrong one.
Yeah.
You know your computer. So you go out into Suite Ideas. So you go to support.
Support overview.
Yeah.
It's,
The idea is that it's in either support overview or it's the answers.
so,
You
so
gotta
this
get a
is,
sweet idea to vote.
so this is the main portal, right, for the support center. And then down below is the suite ideas. And then you would log in. I'm logged in right now in
No, that's still.
Sandbox.
All the next effects, you know.
Yep.
Yes, it kicks you completely out.
So basically, you can go in there and then you can search for enhancement requests and it'll show you the top matches. And
You want me to
it'll show you
switch?
which ones have the most votes, then you can go and up.
Yeah, let's go. The release preview might have it. And the other thing is on the left-hand side in the support area, you can go into your account if you're an authorized support person and see what previous enhancements you have voted on. So what I was going to do until I got locked out of my NetSuite account this morning was to actually do a screenshot of everything I've had previously voted on, because I've had a client that's been very inventory based and there was a metric ton of things that I've voted on and still no progress. But again, it's all about, if we could just get a little bit of traction, some product manager down in Oracle might notice and go, the Canadians are saying this.
And if there's Canadian specific things that we want, then I have contacts in the account management organization still that will help push. So for example, we just got Canadian data centers, one in Toronto and one in Montreal. I think they're up or they're not up yet, they're coming soon. And that was a direct result of customers asking for Canadian data centers. So there is traction there.
Loading the site.
They're thinking about it.
Yep.
That's their end goal.
One of the votes that you can vote on is the concept about being able to do a bank transfer between a bank account and a credit card. Wouldn't that be cool? Like, why do I have to enter a journal? It should be a transfer. So there's some really dumb stuff to do with the cash, and maybe it doesn't bother people who have 5 bank accounts, but it sure hell bothers me when I've got over 200 to 300 bank accounts. It's just mind-numbing.
Question in the chat online, Mark, for how you vote for the various
Yep.
issues.
So, yep. So I think so Lisa's put numbers here.
Yep.
So I think you just search on that number, right?
Yep.
And it finds it, and here it is. And you can see we have 11 votes.
That's never gonna happen.
Made my case.
So here I've clicked on it, and then you can vote for this idea. So Lisa, you got another one. Okay. Indispensable, right? However,
It's always indispensable because I said so. I'll be indispensable for all of your votes. I'm willing to sell my votes, right? It is so important that we get some traction on this.
it does take a little bit for it to place your vote.
Yeah.
I don't know
Well,
what checks it's.
Yeah, I mean, I should probably be in the right account.
Yeah.
So you need to talk to the boss.
I'm definitely agree with it.
Right, 12. Right, stand up.
It's pretty slow update.
Well, no, in your administrative role, you have to add NetSuite support as your role. So in your employee role.
Yes. You have one more.
So even though you're an administrator, you're not automatically a NetSuite support legit person. You have to go in to your employee settings and not only have administrator, but also have NS support. And then when you've given yourself the role of NS support, you can then go into the support to do it.
It doesn't give you the access.
Yeah, I think you have to be part. It's weird, isn't it?
If you're the first admin, you probably have it.
Yeah, well, I know that when I'm administrator, I have added NetSuite support because I go into that role to do a vote, etc. So you may just need access to the role.
Sure. Okay, so
Right.
basically I did it.
The one of my pet peeves, if you know how you have the awesome bank summary on the top of your dashboard and it shows you all the 200 bank accounts, you can't print that. You can't do anything with it. You can't filter on it. You can't do jack. So it's fabulous to have that information on the dashboard from the bank portal, but really we should be able to print it. We should be able to do a save search on it. We should be able to filter on it saying, I want to see as of a date. So that's another one to vote on, which is this delightful 552268. And then we finally, because 2 years, we finally implemented bank feeds. And so we're getting bank feeds for 60 of the bank accounts with Bank of America. But do you think I can run a save search to show me all the data that's come in from the bank feed? That record is not available. So what I was trying to do was to do a save search saying, show me a report of what the bank said the bank balance was at month end. So I can have a check just to see, did we get it right? Anything, but you cannot do any save search on the banking import history. It's basically locked down. So if you want to change that, you need to vote for 602921. So this is just a really small selection of my pet peeves. I'm sure you have your own. And it's really important that you take the time to share them amongst the group so we can help each other, because it's the only way we're going to make a difference. Right? The means of communicating amongst each other is limited from the point of view, unless we exchange a business card, we don't get to know each other. But I have found the lunchbox sessions to be amazing because it's a much more informal environment. And we chat amongst ourselves and then we make connections and we can stay in contact afterwards. So any comments, thoughts? Well, so what will happen is you'll get notified if the enhancement happens. I mean, I found the one thing that you should be aware of is the community, Oracle community. Make sure you've signed up for that because they're basically the free poor man's customer support. They will persevere with your questions and they will often come back and go, to me anyway, it's an enhancement. Would you like me to put you on the list? And I go, yes, please. But the community, the Oracle community is a very good resource because they will actually persevere when you don't have premium support. Okay. So if you have something you want to vote on, share them with me and I'll vote for you.
Lisa, I think you started adding them to our LinkedIn.
Yeah, I did. I was having a bad day. Did you tell I was working on the cache and I was like, not another problem. Right. So it was having a bad day. But yeah, I think that's the only way we can share it. Not that anybody liked it or commented on it. That's okay. Oh, well, I don't know that stuff.
Yeah.
Do a training session on how to make LinkedIn more useful.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep. Awesome, Lisa. Thank you. You're up to 14 votes now.
Woo!
And I haven't refreshed again, so it might be even higher. So thank you, everyone.
I was trying to vote as under a different account. So I have 8 different accounts. I think I haven't done that yet.
So while we're in here, let's see. Does anyone remember some of that setup then? Contacts. So I'm in the support center. Edit your authorized contacts. Yeah, I have quite a few.
I think if you enter support case, you end up in there.
Yes. Well, yeah, you can only enter a support payment you're in that.
Or you can get.
And there is a limit because I'm at my limit. I can't authorize any more. But this is how you would do it, right?
The question online, will this list be posted? So the answer is yes, we'll figure out where to post it.
Yeah.
Like your PowerPoint slide, we can put it at the end of that or put it on the website.
Yes.
Just put it
Yes.
on the website.
Yep, we will definitely share that. And I think we'll get better at it. And I think part of our lunchbox series, we should allot some time to talk about voting ideas. And if we need a quick tutorial in the next lunchbox, like how to get into that, how to vote, how to search for other ones, like in here. Support issues? Is it support issues? It's not cases, I don't think.
This cases and then you filter on it saying.
Okay, let's try.
Three ideas.
See there, see this is listing all your enhancements. And so then see how it's got vote.
Oh, where's that?
Vote for issues.
In a way of filtering.
Still have that vaping cloud thing up,
Yes.
because there's a question online about protecting duplicate orders based on customers' purchase order number.
Yep.
And then again, it does that one. There, customer PO number.
Yep. We had to write a script to actually pull that out. This may be even easier as a suite app. Okay, Gavin, do you want to run your session?
And then we'll just have questions.
Yep. Yeah, go ahead and share.
You see that, okay? Okay. So I have a very broad scope here. I want to show you something that we did first. So I work for a company called Trustco. We make PVC alternatives to drywall. And so they're long panels, 6 inches wide, 8 to 24 feet long. And so we built our own integration to our production lines. So people want to know what products is running on what line. We have 2 plants, one in Calgary, one in Ontario. And so we built, first of all, this version. So you can go and see there's the line number. So that's Calgary line 2, the work order number, and like a cross section of what the product is with item number. And then how many we're meant to make, how many we've made. So it's showing you the progress. And then for us, what's really important in our industry is the line speed. So there's a target line speed in meters per minute, and it shows you where we are versus the line speed. So this is the internal view. What I did was I used that tool from Maven Cloud that I talked about to publish this search externally. And so I took out the line speed because that's like kind of proprietary in our industry. Everyone, it's a big secret how fast your lines run. But now our CEO or BP manufacturing, wherever he has this link in his phone, and without having to log into NetSuite, you can bring up and see exactly what's running 24 hours a day, real time. So this updates every 10 minutes directly from our production lines to NetSuite and publish that to the safe search, which is kind of cool. And then just a thing on the enhancement requests. I'm going to stop sharing. So what happens is I worked at NetSuite for 12 years. I worked in product management. I used to run the manufacturing vertical globally for a while. And so what happens is twice a year when they decide they're working on the new
the new product, the new features, they actually look at all the enhancement requests, and all the teams are tasked with trying to deliver a solution to some of the top enhancement requests. So they do look at it. By they, I mean Evan Goldberg, who's founded NetSuite, and Gary, who runs products. They are both really invested in making sure that the teams are actually delivering solutions to top enhancement requests. So it does work. I've been in the room when there's been discussions about it, and Evan's asking what enhancement requests are you resolving this release. So they do actually look at it. So I don't really have any other specific content, but if anyone wants to know anything about how NetSuite works, how they release product, or any questions about what they're working on or how to get other stuff built or anything, then I'm happy to try and answer. Suite World. Has everyone been to Suite World? Mark and I go every year. There's in March, so in probably about 3 or 4 weeks time, there will be a request for speaking sessions that goes out. So if you want to get a free pass to Suite World, you submit a session idea, and they go to into different tracks. The track captains basically vote on the sessions, and then you, if you're selected, then you'll get a free ticket to Suite World. They won't pay your flight, but it will save you $1,500 US ish to get in the door as well. So if anyone wants to submit a session and they want tips on how to get their session picked, let me know, because I've been quite successful in getting selected and selecting other people. So other Suite World stuff.
We get together next week.
So we're part of the Ontario NetSuite user group. The user groups as a whole all got together at Suite World last year. There's a contact there. There's someone at NetSuite who's responsible for user groups. So that's how some of the new people here, I think, got the email today. So we can tell them when our next meeting is, and they will blast out the content, an invite to our next meeting, to all of the local NetSuite users. We have all of Ontario basically as part of our target market. So yes, we get together with the other groups, and we're planning on something a little hopefully bigger this year, but we'll see how that goes. It's really worth the effort. You learn a lot when you're there. Was this your first year or your first for a while? And you thought it was better, different?
I would highly recommend NetSuite well, because there's so much content. For your middle user, I think it's still really good from the point of connection, seeing what's out there, all the solutions.
And if you're struggling with something in NetSuite, then I know pretty much all the product managers, or I can find out who the product manager is. So if there's something that you're really struggling with and you can't get an answer to, then let me know. So we're also running these monthly lunchbox sessions. So 1 hour at lunch one day, just virtual. And the idea is you can come and bring any question, and we'll try and discuss it as a group and answer it. Somebody asked last time about NetSuite had this benchmark feature where you could go and see the status of the industry, etc., in your vertical. And so we managed to figure out who was working on it, and it's going to be released because they took the old one down, Junkyard, or what's it called, Brainyard it was called. So it's coming back as Benchmark 360, I think. And so that's going to be coming back shortly. So look out for that. And I think that's all I had. Do you want to talk about new release process or no? I could tell you all NetSuite secrets, but then then we'd be barred from coming back and using this space again, so I won't. So the benefit of this is, one, it's free, and two, the tech works really well for online, etc. So yeah, we can use this whenever we want, basically. There should be another, what was that session called? The learning lab? Who went to the learning lab? Did anyone know about it? So there should be another, they're doing one in Vancouver again. So, and the one in Toronto last time was one of the best attended learning labs. So I'm sure they're going to do it again. And when they do, we'll have like a user group stand up there, I think. So we'll try and get some more people involved because it really does help. Was it? There's a significant number of NetSuite senior leadership in Canada. So the guy who runs all of customer all the customer account reps, he's in Whistler. He was in Toronto. He moved out west. And there's a bunch of other senior leadership people. James, who helped organize getting us this room today, he runs all of support globally. And so there's always been a big NetSuite presence in Toronto. There was another office down the road where I worked, but support's still here. They're on the 9th or 10th floor, I think. So
I would also recommend find out who they're the ones that will actually email you directly to let you know of an event coming into Toronto. So if you're missing out on the corporate email, at least you've got a personal contact with someone that will email you and say this is the event coming to Toronto. Just what you need to find out who you have. And some of them are better than others, but you can find out that you've got a relationship with someone. I think account managers.
no, it's all over. They're organized usually by region and then by the size of the customer. Size being either revenue or, I think it's revenue mostly. So there's kind of bands that they get assigned to, and they'll switch you every so often as well, just depending as they reorganize. Yeah. We used to do that right at the start when we started this, and then nobody came to the last meeting, so we stopped. But we have also talked about doing like a social night, a bar or something, and buy drinks for everybody. I'm sure I can find some NetSuite reps to come and buy drinks. Right. We could do this in the afternoon and then go somewhere near here afterwards. Yeah, I think it becomes technical by nature because it's the admins who end up trying to configure the system the right way. But that doesn't mean that, I mean, we should have we should look at other ways of introducing users to similar users, either through our own website or LinkedIn or something. It's a good idea. I mean, having some kind of we for a while we looked at having the actual meetings targeted at different functional areas. So we actually did one on a manufacturing one. And so, but the challenge is, you want to try and have something in every meeting for somebody or everyone sort of thing. So maybe a sub focus on CFOs or whatever, and having breakouts. I mean, I'm not sure, does Teams let you do breakout rooms? So we could do something online with that and have breakout rooms by different functional areas. At SweetWorld, there's a birds of a feather lunch. They still do that. Something like that. I think they renamed it. But you can basically go and you go into the lunchroom and they'll have signs for finance, manufacturing, whatever, and you go and sit at that table and talk to hopefully somebody that's in a similar space to you.
Canadian.
Talk to Lisa. She'll tell. So we implemented just over a year ago. Well, we went live not even a year ago, but we started in August of 2022, I think, and we had a US-based partner and struggled in various aspects for a significant period of time. And then I fired them basically. And not knowing anything about finance, but knowing Lisa, I was like, I introduced Lisa to our CFO, and Lisa helped us undo a bunch of stuff that they'd done. Either had not set up properly at all, like the taxes were entirely wrong. Some of the other stuff was wrong. So Lisa helped us undo a bunch of that and get it set up the way it should have been done in the first place.
Thing, and I'm not even. Once you've doing it, you can run it again. But we've done all sorts of things because there's so many companies. Because I've got one client, as I said, it's got 400 companies and they don't want to sit there individually running file balances at the year end or month end. So we have people that can run the file balance for them for all companies, switch it out into Excel. There's lots of things you can do. Half the battle with anything is knowing what you want. Right, and having the discussion. I mean, we've seen cool things, and it's like I hadn't even thought of that. So it's all about being inspired and putting it on the long, never-ending to-do list, working out where it is on the priority.
Small question is it? So that's a transaction list. That's a view of form, right? The view you can select.
Yeah.
So when I use a PO list, that's a type of view, a different view. So when I change to the SO list, that view is still the same. So every time just like a different view. That's why I'm going to the possible. For example, if I go to the PO list and then the view only show the view for PO, that's switch to the SO, or I prefer that view only show that the related. I don't just see like a 30 people view every time.
Yeah, you've got to customize your view and name them accordingly. I can come and show you what I know. That's cool.
You mean the forms? The forms?
Yeah, the view at the top. So you're trying to narrow down the list.
Oh, okay.
Getting frustrated. I mean, when you're in a PO, you want to see different things than when you're in a journal. So you want a different look at it. You don't want to modify the column.
Sure.
Every time.
You cannot filter it. You cannot filter it. You have the name.
I use filter. You'd hate to see my screen. So I have a default view that my filters are date created. I'm all about who did it. who created it, what status, subsidiary ID, because I've got 400 of them, and stuff like that. And I have loads of filters in my default view to narrow it down. And I also have external ID, so I know who was the source of it, where did it come from. So yeah.
I'm just gonna see if I can find something that I just did recently. Manufacturing recorders. Yeah, I was just trying to see if I could find this thing that I did. Let's see if this works. Just an idea, talking about forms. So yes. So just like an idea, something that came up recently for us, that our production guy was complaining about all the time. So what happens is if you're in a work order, and when you go into the screen, see, let's just go into the standard work order form. So see when you go into the standard form in the work order, because the component list is required, every time you change something at the top, it scrolls you down to the bottom of the screen. And so if I go and choose subsidiary and then go and pick an item, so then it loads the component list and it scrolls down to the bottom of the screen. So you're creating a work order and you're up at the top and you say, I'm going to try and create, then you got to go back up to the top again. And then you got to go and change the location to Palmerston. And because the BOM is location specific, it scrolls you down to the bottom of the screen again. So our production guy is just like driving me nuts. He's like, can we fix this? I was like, well, I'm not sure how you fix that until I started thinking about it. And so what I did was I created a no scroll form. So really simple solution. And just when we're talking about forms, it's not just kind of coming in my head. Sometimes you got to get a little creative. What I did was I had moved the component list to another tab, which is actually better because you enter the item and then it scrolls down to the bottom, and maybe they hit 7 or delete a row or whatever, or change an item instead. And so basically you just go in here and you say, okay, it's TCC. You put your item and then your location. Come on. And then, but this also lets you do something else pretty cool as well. Once it gets there. You get kicked out. There we go. And then you can put your location. And so I did a couple of things. One, because I removed a whole bunch of extra screens, so there's no scrolling enemy. I put the items on this other tab. And then when you save it, I create a sublist that shows you all the items that are on the work order. So you're on the main form, you can still see all the components that are required, but you can't edit them unless you go to that separate tab, which we all like better now, because then you're not potentially changing the components by mistake when you didn't mean to. So you have to go to the edit item sublist to go and change the components. And so what you can do is, I think I put this on here. So it's going to show you the list of the components. It's got highlighting if you're going to run out of something, so there's not enough. And there's also a progress bar on the right-hand side that shows you how many you've issued already. So there's your items. I created a grouping so that all of our we have the labor grouped at the end. So there's no grouping for the labors for the items. So now it's showing that the items in different by their product group. And then as you go and issue, it's going to show you the % consumed as well. And if you want to go and edit the items, you just have to go to the edit items tab over here. So just a creative solution to a form problem. There you go. That's it. I'm done. Mark, did you want to wrap up? Do you have a summary for this meeting, like a PDF files or something? Question mark. It's recorded, right?
So we're recording this. We have the PowerPoints, Lisa's support doc. All of that will be shared on our website. So look for that being posted. No longer password protected, so we can just jump on and yep, take a look at that. So absolutely.
Just communicate, and I know we're gonna find a better form to communicate. LinkedIn currently where it is. But it'll help each other. Sometimes it can be a little difficult.
Yeah, we're trying to use the LinkedIn form just because it's set up and it's there and it's easy to register, but that's going to also contain other partners, other consultants, NetSuite folk as well. So it is a broader group, which is an okay thing, I guess, but you can post some questions into that. And that was us coming up with our lunchbox series. So it's an informal, you have a question, you're looking for an answer or a better way of doing something, then collectively we can help solve it. Certainly, Lisa, Gavin, and I jump on those calls, but we don't have the answer for everything. NetSuite is a huge thing to try and get those answers. That was great feedback that you had of more functional user is what I would kind of call it, right? Discussions as well. And maybe some of those best practices that we're doing in NetSuite. And I think that's fantastic. And if we can get to that's really good. Loved your feedback also on introductions and getting to know each other. And I think maybe we'll bake that into our next one where we have some time. It's kind of tough running this event when it's hybrid, right? We've got more actually online versus in the room. And even if we do a first session, like let's say we started at 9:15 or something, or 8:45, and the first 15 minutes, it's just us in the room. And then we go online and then it's a more formal presentation. I think maybe something like that would work out. Or at the end, I would rather do it at the beginning so then we can talk to people at breaks or afterwards as well. Right? But that's definitely where we want to head is more networking. And any suggestions that you guys have, please send them. And Steve put in the chat his email address. He is a new account manager at NetSuite and has offered to help find account managers. Okay, so if you do not know who your account manager is, talk to Steve. He's got his email address there. Drop him a line. Okay, thanks very much, Steve, for that offer. Thank you. All right. Any other questions, comments? We'll have a survey that'll send out to the email. We would love your feedback and comments. I like being in person as well, and we've got a great turnout. Our last one, it was disheartening because I think there were maybe 4 or 5 of us in the room. It's tough presenting to a small group when you have way more online, but this has been great, really encouraging, and well worth our effort in putting in the work to bring you guys some presentations. Okay, but thank you very much. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And look for an invite for March 7th is our next lunchbox series. That'll be, I think, 2 weeks today. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thanks for attending, everyone on the phone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.